Okay, so this lesson is a problem-solving lesson, and it's all about finding a pattern. So the focus here is not going to be the math part because we understand patterns. We understand we can skip count, especially if we're doing patterns with numbers. With shapes, I've got little tricks that we can figure out patterns quickly with shapes too. The main part here, though, is figuring out what it's asking you to do. Word problems, it can be the easiest kind of math you can think of, but it could still be tricky because the words are confusing. So that's what we're going to focus on, is just figuring out how to decode what it's asking us to find. So it says, Ella is learning how to play a waltz on the piano. Her teacher gives her a beginner's exercise for her left hand. The music shows 4 measures. If this pattern continues, how many notes will she play in 8 minutes? So, or 8 measures. So 3, 6, 9, 12. What am I noticing in this pattern? What's happening? It's skip counting by 3s. So if the pattern continues and it wants me to find 1, 2, 3, 4 the next ones. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24. That's it. A lot of times, if a word problem gives you a picture, use it. It will be very helpful. So let's look at this one. Number 1. Julia is printing files. The first file is 2 pages. The second file is 4 pages. The third file is 6 pages. And the fourth file is 8 pages. If this pattern continues, how many pages will be in the 8th file? All right, these are the types that really mess with you. These are the ones that kind of confuse you. So I make a list. I've read it through once. I know what it's asking. I know what my strategy is going to be. Now I'm going to start applying it. I'm going to reread. Julia is printing files. The first file, so I'm going to put a 1, I'm going to put a dash, is 2 pages. The second file, I'm going to put a 2 and a dash, is 4 pages. The third file, put a 3, is 6 pages. And the fourth file, 4, is 8 pages. Now, it says if this pattern continues, how many pages will be in the 8th file? It wants me to go to the 8th. So I am skipping all the way up to 8 after 4. How can I approach this? Now that I've laid it out, I can see there's a pattern going on here. 2, 4, 6, 8. I got 2 ways of doing this. I could keep going up on that pattern. Or I'm seeing some hands up. What's another way we think we can do this?
Since you already have 4 down, and then the next bit, like what we're trying to figure out is 8, you could probably double 8.
Exactly. 4 is my last one that I was given. 8 is double 4. So wouldn't it be safe to say that if 4 is 8, that 8 would be 16? Yeah. Now, if it had asked me what 7 was, I might have to just keep skip counting. But because I was given double of the last number, I can kind of figure out pretty quickly that if I just multiply by 2, I'll get my next one. Okay? Write a problem that uses a pattern for multiples of 5. Then answer your question. So now you're actually having to write your own word problem. So if I were to write my own word problem that uses a pattern for multiples of 5, then answer your question. So what if I were to say, I have 3 friends. Each friend put both their hands on the table. How many fingers were on the table? So what kind of question did I just ask? What kind of word problem did I just create? What's the multiplication I'm asking you to do? I kind of made it tricky. So think about it. What do we see? Yes. 4 times 2? So you did what we think is going to happen. I said, I have 3 friends. And I said each friend. I didn't say I put them on. I just said my friends put them on. So 3 friends. I made it tricky. Let's think. Anybody else got another idea? Yeah? 3 times 10. Where did we get 10? So each friend has 10. Except my problem here, it says using a pattern for multiples of 5. So let's say one friend has 2 hands, right? So here's a friend's hand. Here's another friend's hand. 5 fingers, 5 fingers. Here's one friend's hand. Here's another friend's hand. 5 fingers, 5 fingers. Here's one friend's hand. Here's another friend's hand. 5 fingers, 5 fingers. So these are my 3 friends. Doo-doop, doo-doop, doo-doop. With their 2 fingers. Hopefully none of them got into any accidents where they lost a finger and they all have 5 fingers. Now that I've laid this out, because my instructions were to use multiples of 5, now what can I do? What multiplication problem can I make from this? 5 times 6. 5 on each hand. And there were 6 hands on that table in all. And I was asking how many fingers. If there's 5 fingers on each hand, and there are 6 hands, we got 30 fingers. Tricky one, huh? Is 5 times 6 a challenging multiplication fact? No. But did this word problem make you think a bit? Kind of, yeah. Especially because I had strict rules that it had to be using 5.
Well, they didn't say you had to answer using 5.
They said that I had to use a pattern for multiples of 5. Meaning I could not have done 10 plus 10 plus 10. I needed to do the 5 because that's what it asked me for. So that can be another issue in math. It could be asking for a very specific way, and you do it a different way and get the same answer, but it's like, we said this way. So you need to be careful about that. Number 4, what do we see here? 5, 10, 15, 20. Come on, you know what's next. 25, 30, 35, 40. For number 5, 9, 18, 27. What am I seeing there? 9. So all I got to do, remember that rule. If I'm given 9, 18, 27, I can go, okay, well, if I count up, that's a 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I can count it down. This is 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Oh, I did my commas wrong. So 27, 36, 45, 54, 63. That's one way to do it. Okay, now I'm actually looking at pictures here. When I see pictures, these can actually be more complicated than they seem because your brain can get kind of mixed up. So when I have pictures, I touch and I say it. So this is on the left. So I say left, top, right, bottom. Left. So because I say it and I hear myself saying it, it makes the pattern a bit easier because now I can put a beat to it. If I'm just looking at it, I could make a mistake. Left, top, right, bottom. Left, top, right, bottom. So left, top, right, bottom, left, top. And then I got to draw it. Do I have to draw it perfectly? Am I Picasso? No. I'm going to try my best. Luckily, it's not that hard to draw, but I'm not too worried about it. As long as it obviously shows where the next one's supposed to be, we're good. Ooh, number 7. That is a tricky one. Oh, and by the way, it says draw the next 2 shapes. So what would come after this guy? So left, top, right, bottom. Left, top, right. See, it's easier when you say it out loud. There's my right. Okay, now number 7.
We're not doing this on the test. Saying it out loud.
You can still say it, whisper it to yourself. Now, look at this. We've got 2 shapes. It's almost like the 2 shapes are moving. This is a little bit trickier because now it's not 1 color, it's 2. So I have to figure out what's happening. How is it moving? I have to pick a direction. So if I notice they're both down here, but now 1 down here and 1 up here, that means it's like I'm taking it and I'm going like that. So I'm taking it and I'm moving it this way. So that's how it's moving around. Once I figure out the direction it's going, I can go, okay, so the 2 then kind of flipped up, and then they flipped over, and then they went down. So if it starts here and ends here, then I can just look at what's in the middle and decide what's coming next. What's coming next?
Top and bottom right.
So the one where, so right after this one is going to be this guy, right?
Yeah.
And then after that guy is that guy. So in this case, it's kind of hard to say. I don't even know how to put the words for this.
I think I know.
Bottom, 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 top. Or maybe bottom, bottom, right, top. Bottom, left, bottom, bottom, or right, left. That's a bit trickier. So with this one, you kind of just need to use your fingers because for me, that's what helps me is when I find the direction, when I can feel like I need to go like that and turn it. So if I'm going to draw it, that was number 6. Here's number 7. I'm going to make my triangle as best as I can. This is why grid paper can be very helpful. And then da 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 da. Okay, now I got to fill them in. So I said that the next one was going to be a bottom right and a top. And then it helps if you sing when you draw. Then the next one is the top, bottom left. Cool? Sometimes these can be a little trickier than they seem. They're a little deceiving. All right, look at number 8. Look for a pattern, copy and complete each number sentence. 30 plus 5 equals 35. 300 plus 5 equals 305. 3,000 plus 5 equals... Yeah, what am I noticing that's happening in the pattern here? I just keep adding zeros.
Yeah. And then you add a 5 to that.
So the 3,000 plus 5 equals 3,005. The 30,000 plus 5 equals 30,005. This isn't the pattern, guys. This is just adding 5 to a number. We are very capable of doing that.
Yeah.
Same with number 9. 50 plus 5 is 55. 505 plus 50. Oh, but look what's happening. There are zeros getting added on both sides now. Don't make assumptions. Don't make assumptions because then we would have just kept going here. 505 plus 50 is 555. 5,005 plus 550 is 5,555. 50,505 plus 5,050 is 55,555. So do you see the pattern in your answers? Everything's 5s. For number 10, 60 plus 8, 68. 600 plus 80, 680. 6,000 plus 800, 6,800. 60,000 plus 8,000, 68,000. Not bad, right?
That one was a little bit easier.
Yeah.
That was easy.
Well, and you'll notice that the more you do something of a certain type, of course it's going to get a little easier for you because you're going to start picking up what it's asking you to do. and there's not as much guessing that has to come into it. So it's not that the math has gotten easier, it's just that you've gotten better at it. Yeah. It's fun to think about it that way, huh? Kaylee delivers invitations to everyone on her floor of her apartment building. That's a lot of people. There are 10 apartments on her floor. Never mind, that's a small apartment building. The number of the first 4 apartments are 2, 4, 6, and 8. If the pattern continues, what are the rest of the apartment numbers? Okay, once again, what should I do to start myself off to get this figured out? What do we think I should do? What's my strategy going to be? Make a
Pattern.
list. The list is going to help me out here, so let me get this figured out first. She delivers invitations to everyone on her apartment building, blah, blah, blah. There are 10 apartments on her floor. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Those are her apartments. The numbers of the first 4 apartments are 2, 4, 6, 8. If the pattern continues, what are the rest of the apartment numbers? Okay, well, the pattern's going to continue. So 5 is 10, 6 is 12, 7 is 14, 8 is 16, 9 is 18, and 10 is 20. Technically, my rule here was times 2.
Oh, now I get it.
So writing out, making a list, helps us just visualize it more. With a pattern, you can just say it and that will help you because the pattern becomes a rhythm and that to me is more like music. But when we are having to skip count and use numbers, it's easier to see it. Making that list just kind of helps you put it into perspective. Makes it easier for you to understand what it's asking. So now, let's look at this pattern in the table. We're finding the missing numbers. 300, 320, 340. Oh, I can tell already what's happening here.
Plus 20.
Plus 20, I'm skip counting by 20s. So 300, 320, 340, 360, 380. 400, 420, 440, 460, 480, 500, 520, 560, 580. No biggie there. Carrie has a newspaper route. The first 4 houses she delivers to are numbered 322, 326, 330, and 334. If this pattern continues, what will the next 4 numbers be? All right, so I'm going to write this out. 322, 326, 330, 334. And it wants the next 4 numbers. What am I skip counting by? Where do I go first? I look at that 0. From this to this was what? Plus 4. Now I can go back and check myself. Is 322 plus 4 326? Yeah. Is 326 plus 4 330?
Yeah.
So my rule is plus 4. So 334 plus 4 is 338. 338 plus 4 is
342.
342 plus 4 is
346.
346 plus 4 is
350.
there we go. No problemo. So are we getting a pretty good idea of how these patterns work? And even though the math part might not be so challenging to you, figuring it out can be. So make these lists, write these numbers down, make it so that it is almost impossible for you to misunderstand what you're supposed to do. Making that list, putting that rule, showing, finding the easiest route, a 0 is always where you should start looking for what that rule is because whatever the next number is how much you added or multiplied to get to it. So those little tips and tricks will make your math experience a lot happier. Okay? Sound good? Cool.